Mac Miller was a prolific American artist who left a deep impact in the world of hip-hop and music as a whole.
Good news, that's all they wanna hear. No, they don't like you when I'm down.
Tragically, he passed away in 2018, but his legacy lives on through his music and his fans, and the impact he has put on those lives. Mac Miller's production style was extremely versatile, with lots of experimenting sounds. In no way do I think I'm at the level to replicate this style, but I can do my best at making my own interpretation of it. Mac Miller's beats contained rich electric soundscapes, coupled with jazz, soul, and funk, with traditionally hip-hop rhythms. Mac Miller done a very good job at making mellow instrumentals that delve deep into the self-discovery part of life. In today's video, I'm going to break down a song that I think closely represents the song from the Divine Feminine, Soulmate, which was my main inspiration for this. Now, there may be people in the comments that completely disagree this is similar to Mac Miller at all, but this was the main inspiration in my head, which is why I dedicated this video around him. Mac Miller had the ability to evolve and push the boundaries of music, so I don't think there is one set way to ever create a Mac Miller type beat, but the reason I've labeled it as such is because it was heavily inspired by him. His music has evolved since his very first mixtape that you can never really pin down his exact style because it was such an evolution throughout his entire career. So as I said earlier, we need to really focus on subtlety and soundscapes to enhance the atmosphere of the beat. To start this off, I have this sound and I've labeled it appropriately, Epic Sound. And it's just playing D and then A is our progression here. On this, we have a reverb to widen the sound and give it some more atmosphere. As well as this, I've merged it fully separated. At the bottom there, you can see that it's fully separated. If you've done it all the way to the right, the signal will be delivered in mono, which means single, but we have it too, so it kind of surrounds you. I wanted this to be the main driving force of the beat. Next up, we have a very basic piano layer. This again gives us some more depth. This is a very, very degraded sound as well, which I'll show you in a minute in the effects. But this again follows D down to A. On this, we start off with a saturation knob. Usually I use a little radiator, but I wanted to just add a little bit of saturation here. So we've put it on the keep high mode and added a tiny bit of saturation. This is going to make it a little more grainy. As well as this, we have some reverb here. It's very, very slight, and this just creates a little more atmosphere and allows the sound to extend. Finally, we have this delay plugin, which is a delay plugin, and I've put it on the dreamy preset. So you can take a listen without effects. It's quite nice, but with effects, it just adds to that very atmospheric tone. With this sound as well, I'm also delivering it directly in mono. This is to avoid clashing because this is a very similar frequency to our other sound, and I didn't want them to get lost in each other. So one is extremely separated and one is mono. So it's like we've got one here, and then one in the middle. The piano in our intro is slightly different, and it plays our main guitar melody, which I'll show you in a minute. This is also a different piano from the Lab. This is the magnetic reader tape piano. Now I wanted a different piano for the intro to kind of build up that atmospheric feeling. And on this, we have a saturation knob, exactly the same. A free reverb and delay. So it's the exact same settings here. You can hear how it's very wobbly and distorted, and it very much reminded me of Mac Miller. But with these settings, it broadens that sound and it seems more experimental with these kind of effects. So that's just the sound for the intro, which is copying our melody here. Now, in this little intro, along with this piano, we also have our main guitar reversed. So I'm going to show you our main guitar right now. And that is essentially our melody throughout the beat. There's also a second bit. So I've reversed this. When you reverse things, you have to chop them and put them back in order, because once you reverse, it won't be the same progression. So for the intro, we just have a reverse version. Piled on with all the other sounds, this is very, very experimental, soundscape-ish and atmospheric, which is the kind of vibe we're going for. You can also add sounds like raindrops, vinyl effects, to create the type of room and environment that you're in. If you want your sound to be based in, let's say, like a public venue, you would add crowd sounds, you would add some reverb, things like that to create your environment. And that is kind of what a soundscape is. Here, we just want it to be very atmospheric and get you lost in the beat. Now leading up to our sound, I've taken the epic sound which I showed at the very start, and I've reversed it as a riser. So let's take a listen. And this is gonna lead into the beat. Now that we've got our main structure to the beat, it's just adding on little subtleties. So the first thing I did was add in a bass. And this is fairly quiet, but it fills up a lot of that low end. The next sound that I added was this little Celeste sound from the BBC Symphony Orchestra VST, which is free. And it's strumming the chords and then playing this, which is a reverse of our chord. This again is just to add in atmosphere. Final sound I added pretty much completes this soundscape, and it is this. And it's this very distant, very dreamy kind of sound. And it's just following the notes from our chords. Now altogether, this sounds like... So this is sounding super cool, but we're gonna need some drums. So I started off with this rim and put it into a separate mixer track so I could add in some effects. The effects I added are the exact same as the piano. By routing it into a different mixer track, we technically have two snares played at the same time, but one of them is heavily affected and the other one isn't. This means that our original snare won't get tampered with and potentially ruined. Next I did this kick. Just a very, very simple pattern that's building up the vibe. And instead of a hi-hat in this beat, we have a shaker. And from there on, it was pretty much adding little soundscapes and sounds to make the beat more interesting, just like this drum fill. And in this part of the song, we also have a new sound. This is again from Labs, and this is one of the choirs. This is from McCaw's choir, Warp Fracture, and this really exemplifies the atmospheric part of the beat. And the sound was very, very reminiscent of Mac Miller, and the settings is just a basic reverb on it to largen the audio. What it does is it freshens up the beat and gives a new interesting part. If you take a listen. Yeah, so from there I just added little sounds, little parts of the structure and things to make it more interesting. But if we take a look at the intro here, the song opens up with a reversed part of our thing. And the thing with Mac Miller is he liked to tell stories through his production and his music, but sometimes through his production. And this beat kind of goes through that. So it opens up like this, and then we hear a sample that gets chopped up, and then our actual beat comes in. To me, this sets the vibe that this beat is going to be very experimental, and honestly, the switch up is quite unpredictable when the beat comes in right here.
My eyes closed, so dangerous, I ain't waiting to drive.
With Mac Miller's actual recording and vocals, you can hear at the end of certain lines, he likes to pronunciate it in an overdub, and I thought that was quite interesting, and I've done this here. If you like the beat and you like the song, let me know and I can do more like it. But yeah, hope you got something from this video. Like and subscribe. Cool. Here's a preview.
My eyes closed, so dangerous, I ain't waiting to drive. I'm speeding to your heart, so I've been speeding through them signs. No time, had to face that part of me just to let it go and die. Can you love me? Tell me I'm safe and that you need me. Hold you tight, there's no way you could ever leave me. My purpose, I'm thinking that it's you lately. Can you take me? Cause myself just ain't here when I'm not right with you. How can two eyes just meet the first touch and I feel so comfortable? My soulmate, my angel, my baby, it's crazy, but I feel like I am one when I look into your eyes. Peace never felt so fine. Know that I just want you to be mine. Love like this just seems so hard to find. Stars cross and the universe align. If you really wanna go, I can take you down that road. I can be there when you low. Nah, let me inside. Let let me find some peace of mind.
I just need that peace of mind.
Cause nothing you could promise would be worth more than time. Eyes closed, but I'm still feeling the shine. Miles apart, but I'm still dialing the line. Crossing oceans for a second of light.